precedents are a very important thing to get right. Something that a couple months ago I explained when I was talking about the PS5 Pro pricing at $700, and guess who was sadly right? Turns out, when PlayStation was able to add a $200 increase to an existing console for a very small quality increase, and I mean very small, somehow people batted their eye and bought the console, and I fear the same thing but worse is coming with the Nintendo Switch 2. Although you might be thinking, Enchanted, this isn't a video essay about a character. Honestly, Nintendo could be a character analysis of its own because sometimes I have no clue what they're thinking, and this is one of them. By the way, if you want to see more videos that are kind of like this, I would gladly do it. If you like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to check out my memberships if you want to see videos like this earlier than everyone else. If you don't know about the tariffs that the US government is putting on imported goods, don't worry, because I will explain it as soon as it's relevant. Although the tariffs may have some play on these pricings, it is not the main reason, and I'm not going to act like it is. Now, a lot of people are rightfully taking a good jab at Nintendo right now because of the new Mario Kart game they announced on their Nintendo Direct. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge Mario Kart player, but the look they gave and the detail sounded too good to be true. The problem people have is with the pricing, as it is confirmed to cost $80. The average as of right now, before this released, was $70 for a bit, but it's mainly been $60 for much longer, and now $80 is starting to really tick people off. This entire video will be split up into 3 segments. First up, we'll be talking about the average gaming environment, where I will discuss where it's at. Second, we will talk about the tariffs and how it could affect the economy of gaming consoles and games. And finally, I'll talk about how Nintendo is just straight up greedy. So let's discuss why Nintendo is trying to raise their prices. So let's start with part 1. The gaming environment for physical media for a long time has been a good $60, as producing the games and producing the actual physical media took more money than just selling the game. Back in time, believe it or not, there weren't online copy purchases you can get of the game, and you either had the physical copy or you didn't have a copy at all, which made sense for a higher cost. As of recently though, games have been mainly purchased through online means, leading to a decline in interest on physical media, and the price of $60 was kept until some games decided that, no, we're better than just $60, we should cost $70. Now, some games with the $10 increase, probably even most, don't really need it, and are more added because of the inflation and or greed, but not because a $70 game would be any better than a $60 game. Speaking of increasing pricing, a big game coming later this year is GTA 6. This game has been rumored to be the first game to cost $100 at base game launch due to how big of an event it could be, and most people brush it off because it's just speculation. That could never happen. The problem though is that Nintendo just proved that it is 100% possible to do this, because although we don't know how successful Mario Kart World is yet, we don't know if this strategy has worked, but in the case that it does, yeah, if the Mario Kart game can be that much, the sequel to one of the most sold games ever can cost $100 and still get bank. I know this is weird, but I am going to quote myself from my PS5 Pro video really quickly. If a big company doesn't have to put in any effort to make a lot of money, believe it or not, they won't put in any effort and just push something out and try to squeeze as much money out of the consumer as they possibly can. If Nintendo knows that they can succeed by just adding another $10 on their games, then no matter the amount of criticism they get, won't make them change their minds. Unless we boycott and we quit buying products we know are overpriced, or else we're practically signing us all up to the average of $100 games. This is a precedent set by game companies and console companies that we've eaten up without a problem, when the aftermath of that will only get worse and worse the more we give in. So the simple answer to people that hate this pricing of Mario Kart World is don't buy the game and wait for Nintendo to fold and lower the price. You are the consumer. You give them the money, so just don't give them the money if you don't support their decisions. And besides, I'm sure you can survive playing Mario Kart 8 for a little while longer while you point and laugh at Nintendo's decreasing monetary value. Part 2. The tariffs the US government is putting on imported goods may not seem like a big deal on the surface, but deeper down, it only means that Americans will be paying more than outside countries, because outside countries are smart, and when it comes to Nintendo's case, greedy as hell. Now, a lot of people that I polled said that the Nintendo Switch 2 pricing isn't that bad. Only Mario Kart World's price is, and I couldn't disagree more. The thing about the console is that it starts at $450, which in all fairness isn't bad in itself, but the problem these tariffs bring is that these consoles for the American audiences will probably shock a lot of you when the price tag doesn't say $450. With a quick Google search, Nintendo Switches are mostly manufactured in China, which then they are shipped to other countries for the consumer to buy. China has to pay a 67% tariff on their goods that they want to try and send to the US. So when you look at the Switch 2 at $450 when it's sent to the US, Nintendo has to pay up 67% of that, which is $301.50. The thing is, though, Nintendo doesn't want to lose money on this because then they'd only be getting 33% of what they actually want to get, which is $450. And they aren't stupid enough to just not ship to the US at all, so instead, they will jack their prices up to ensure that they get $450. So, after doing some math, I found out that for Nintendo to make $450 for each Nintendo Switch 2 console sold in the US, they would need to price the console at a staggering $671.63. Because if you take 67% off of that, then it equals $449.99, which is how much the Switch 2 will cost in other countries. Now, although that number is scary, I am not an economic mastermind, and honestly, there is a future where Nintendo bites the bullet and just gives in, or just not even raises the prices at all, or even just raises them slightly. But either way, that would suck. This would also make sense why the physical edition of Mario Kart World will cost $90, because if it's manufactured outside of the US and then sent to the US, it will cost them money to get it in. There is also speculation that the Switch 2's price may be higher than $400 because they already adjusted it to the tariffs, but they hadn't been released till after the Switch 2 was revealed, so who knows for sure. Finally, Part 3. Nintendo just sucks sometimes. I'd go out of my way to say they are one of the worst companies out there when it comes to their greed. They don't care how much people complain because they know that their fans would rather starve for a month without groceries than miss the new Nintendo item. They are also very well aware that they can do anything and people will praise them no matter what, because honestly, those types of people just don't know better and have been manipulated to think that everything they do is an act of love for their company and not for their own pockets. By the way, this is why I'm not playing a Nintendo game in the background, because Nintendo could easily flag this video just for using gameplay that I paid for. It is ridiculous that Nintendo thinks they can get away with this without backlash, but they won't listen. Because they aren't in jeopardy yet. They're convinced that people will buy their $80 games and shut up about it after they do so. This is why I'm not gonna buy Nintendo items till they get their act together, and I understand this is a wildly hyped up console, but honestly, going back to my PS5 Pro video, do you really want a future where the PS6 costs $1,000 on launch, the Nintendo Switch 3 to be twice the amount as the Switch 2, or for games to cost $100 each? Because although absurd as it sounds, we're entering the phase of gaming where people just don't know better, and if we stop giving in, then maybe we can save ourselves in the future before gaming becomes something only the richest of people can access. This is a call to save gaming before the companies assume we're too stupid to question them anymore and decide to give us more and more of what we don't want. Be smart about this, people, and when June 5th comes, make the right decision or you're screwing everyone else over. And with that said, I know this is a very different video than what I usually do, but thank you everybody for watching. I'm Enchanted. Bye.